The Euroformula Open Championship goes racing for the second time this weekend. In round 3 of the 2026 Championship, it's our first ever visit to the MISANO World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. Yesterday, it was all about young Javier Herrera, the youngest driver in the field, utterly dominated proceedings with pole position, the fastest lap en route to his maiden victory in the championship, putting BVM Racing on top on home soil, and the Giuseppe Misotti-led team winning with 2 different drivers for the first time ever, and also picking up a double podium finish with Alessandro Famolaro joining them on the podium. And breaking the duct of Rui Hengye, who going into this weekend had won 5 out of the 6 races so far and bagged both of the pole positions. But the Chinese Taipei driver from T Motorpark certainly has a rival now in the form of Javier Herrera. But they've got it all to do now in this reverse grid race. We'll be starting from 6th and 5th respectively for both of the races this afternoon. Chris Stevens and George Morgan up here in the commentary box. And George, yesterday, a coming-of-age story.
Young 16-year-old Javier Herrera arrived into the Euroformula coming off the back of a solid run in the F4 Central European Zone Championship, where he would become rookie champion and 3rd overall in that series. And now he is a Euroformula race winner, and it could be a significant moment in the course of this championship. We're still a long way to go until the season's end. We're at the 3rd of a point through this series so far. Obviously, next up we have Hungary, Paul Ricard, Hockenheim, Monza, Barcelona. Remember, of course, it is 3 races through a weekend. This is the first race on Sunday, and then obviously we have the second one later on as well. We had the, should we say, out of the 3, we had race 1 yesterday as well. But in terms of what the action has left in wait for us, we have got a race here now this morning. We've got another one coming up later on this afternoon. So plenty of points on the table for these drivers. But obviously, you have to cast your eyes to the front here with S.A. Carrasquedo with his car currently positioned on the front row, 2nd in the starting grid for this reverse grid race. Some may say maybe that's premeditated thinking. We know that Carrasquedo likes to make the most of reverse grid situations. He qualified as well in a position that we'll see him take pole position for the reverse grid later on as well this afternoon for race 3. So a great opportunity for he to land a potential victory here today too, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously elsewhere, Everett Stack, Famolaro also on the 2nd row, Rui Hengye, still one to watch. Javier Herrera could be yet... well, you could yet find more race wins now making his way through the series. There's your pole sitter, though, for this one. Victor Dobransky, who had a solid getaway yesterday, though a few cars did get caught up in the melee right at the very beginning. 27 of S.A. Carrasquedo, who is knocking on the door for that first race win, has got the pace. Misfortune, though, has tended to plague him.
Yeah, he's struggled off the line quite a few times and been caught up in incidents. Particularly at Spa, picked up a puncture thanks to this man, Everett Stack, slicing the rear tyre of Carrasquedo a few weeks ago. Everett Stack losing the podium in the end. We thought he'd be fighting for it, but lost it to this man, Alessandro Famolaro. Who's in fine form is the Venezuelan, a race winner back in Portimao, but after a podiumless run at Spa, returned to the rostrum. This is the man who's dominated proceedings up until this point. A very healthy lead in the championship, coming to Misano for the first time, but was pipped yesterday by Javier Herrera to pole position and to the win. And this is the man of the hour. Just 16 years of age, never been to Misano before, but a much wiser head on some very young shoulders there. See you at the finish line indeed. He has some last-minute conversations. Just missing out on reverse grid pole position yesterday was Lorenzo Castillo, was battling with Victor Dobransky throughout the race yesterday for that crucial 6th place spot with Caddy Baptista, who will start alongside the Mexican here. Caddy Baptista wild-carding in that 4th BVM Racing car, the Brazilian driver being coached by Sergio Sete Camara this weekend. His 2nd appearance here in the Euroformula Open Championship after making a wild-card with Nielsen Racing at the Red Bull Ring last year, and it was 8th position for the former Brazilian F4 racer yesterday. Divi Nandan going over some last-minute notes. The Indian driver in the 55 car from BVM Racing. Slightly further back, we had poor starts for Diego De La Torre and Jan Koller. Neither of them got off the line yesterday. Thankfully, weren't collected in any further incidents, but as a result, they dropped to the rear of the field, and as a result, will be at the back of the grid for this race.
Yeah. See Jan Koller also being tutored by Roman Stanek. We've got a couple of F2 alumni who were tutoring drivers on this very grid. But it should be an interesting complexion for this particular race. And obviously keep your eyes peeled on those drivers starting 5th and 6th, because Rui Hengye, with that vast win record, looking to bounce back from yesterday after finishing P2 for the first time this season, incidentally. And then equally, Javier Herrera with that one-lap pace. Can he utilise that to make some key overtakes? And we do have a missing car on the grid as well. Aaron Ferrazzano, Neri Autosport, doesn't seem to feature on the grid.
Let's go through what happened yesterday. Javier Herrera starting from pole position, but Diego Della Torre and Jan Koller going nowhere off the line. Thankfully, everyone was able to make their way safely through. But Javier Herrera had the whole shot into the first corner ahead of Rui Hengye and Everett Stack. As the drivers behind battled for position through the first few corners, it was Dobransky who had to take to the escape road out of turn 2. Lorenzo Castillo fighting his way through the order after being a little bit compromised by the slow-moving cars in front of him. Divi Nandan getting well out of shape out of the final corner at the end of the opening lap in that 55 car. And that ended up losing him a couple of places, with Dobransky taking both him and Castillo into the first corner. Famolaro utilised a little mistake there from Everett Stack coming out of Curva del Carro, taking 3rd position away from the Virginian. Dobransky battled with Caddy Baptista for that crucial 6th place spot, very nearly coming to blows at turn 2. Javier Herrera, unchallenged at the front of the field, a dominant performance for his first win of the season. This is what it's done to the championship standing. Still Rui Hengye that leads the way. The lead gap now 67 points to Famolaro, who took 2nd place away from Diego Della Torre yesterday. Herrera starting to close down on that championship lead, but still 82 points behind the championship leader. It's a tall order to see if he can close down the Chinese Taipei driver. So race 2 about to get underway here in Misano, the first of 2 reverse grid races. Here is how they line up. It's Victor Dobransky, the rookie class driver, who starts on pole position ahead of Jesse Carrasquillo, the Mexican driver, still looking for his first victory of the season here in the Euroformula Open Championship. Behind them, we have Everett Stack and Alessandro Famolaro, who finished on the podium yesterday for BVM Racing. The Venezuelan hoping to go strong. 3rd row of the grid is yesterday's top 2. Rui Hengye, the championship leader, and then Javier Herrera, race 1 winner, having to go from 6th position. He will do so for race 3 later on as well. Then Lorenzo Castillo and our wildcard Caddy Baptista, also for BVM Racing, on the 4th row of the grid. 5th row of the grid is Divi Nandan, and then there is a gap where Aaron Ferrazzano's Neri Autosport car should be. Back of the grid is Diego Della Torre and Jan Koller, the 2-team Motorpark cars, with the Mexican and the Czech driver after their difficult starts yesterday. And they will be looking to make forward progress. Here is Ferrazzano, still in the garage, so clearly some problems on that Neri Autosport car has delayed his getting out of the garage. Now, the pit lane is closed, so they can't get him to join the grid, but maybe they can get him to the end of pit lane in time for the start of the race.
Yeah, that'll be the mission, so at least he can get going in this race too. Points on the table, and obviously the championship could take another twist and a turn at the close of this one. Of course, Rui Hengye managed to blanket the weekend back at Spa, would have had to deal with a reverse grid situation that found him on 6th on the grid then too. So obviously he is capable of doing the business in terms of getting in the places and restoring himself back to the front, despite starting perhaps in P6. But aside from that, Javier Herrera will be starting P6 today. Was fastest in qualifying ahead of race 1 yesterday, so has got the pace around this track and did also take home the fastest lap of the race yesterday by equal measure. And there was quite a gulf in gap as well between Ps1 and Ps2 as now the formation lap gets underway. This is an opportunity now for the drivers to get the heat into those tyres and ensure that they've got the grip necessary in order to obviously compete against the other drivers in the field. It's all about preparation, and oh my goodness me, that is our race winner from yesterday. Javier Herrera, a little slow to break away off the grid there, Chris.
Yeah, it does eventually get it going, and fact, I would have to double-check the regulations as to whether he's allowed to resume his grid position there. In fact, I hate to say it, but I think he may have to line up from the back of the grid. We'll see what happens when they do line up on the start and finish straight. But that is a potential drama there for yesterday's race winner, who seemed to be finally finding his feet in this championship. Up at the front of the field, it'll be Victor Dobransky as the black wingtips on his red and black Team Motorpark car. Jesse Carrasquillo, one of the easier drivers to spot with the bright yellow luminescent trim, the T-cam, the mirrors and the front wing elements there. Everett Stack, the easiest one to find, with the blue and black car going from third on the grid. Last chance to get some temperature into the Pirelli tyres. Track temperature starting to nudge up towards 40 degrees. It's a glorious day here in Misano.
Herrera has actually managed to move his way past the series of cars, so looking to obviously retake his 6th place during the formation lap. Okay. So it looks like he will remain in his grid spot, so no harm, no foul. So that'll be at least somewhat a relief for the young BVM driver.
And he'll be hoping that whatever problem he had there at the start of the formation lap is not a problem that's going to rear its ugly head in the actual start of the race. Aaron Ferrazzano just drove past us in the pit lane exit, so he'll be lining up at the very end of pit lane and will start from there. So good job from the Neri Autosport crew to get that car into this race at all.
Crucially enough, though, wouldn't have had the benefit of a formation lap in order to get those tyres into the necessary windows, so the other members of the field will have that advantage in terms of tyre temperature.
He's going to lose out massively anyway, I think, because they don't let them go for quite a while, and so he'll be hoping for our safety car to have any real impact in this race. The entourage is watching on, and Diego Della Torre and Jan Koller really taking their time getting up to the back of the grid. I wonder if that's a bit of team tactics at play there. We've got 2 Motorpark cars up at the front of the field and 2 Motorpark cars at the back. So Jan Koller's got to make sure he doesn't accidentally take Ferrazzano's spot on the grid. We have the green flag waved at the back. All 5 lights are on. Engine notes rise. We're racing. And a poor start for Everett Stack and for Alessandro Famolaro. So once again, we have 2 stallers on the grid. Stack eventually does get going. It's Dobransky who leads into the first corner, unchallenged by Jesse Carrasquillo. Thankfully, everybody making it safely through. No contacts further back, but Stack dropping down to the rear of the field. And that'll be great news for the likes of Della Torre and Jan Koller, who were trying to make forward progress, and Javier Herrera making good progress as well. Is that him up to 4th, George?
It is. Javier Herrera threading the needle right at the start. Actually had to go between the 2 stallers of Famolaro and Everett Stack, so managed to mastermind that. That's a very rare mistake from Everett Stack, especially considering the amount of seat time he has had in the Dallara 324 from last season. A little look up the inside, this time from Jan Koller, as now we take a look at Alessandro Famolaro. Now rooted to the rear of the field is the Venezuelan, and also a race winner already this campaign. If you look back at Portimao race 2, as now they get this opening lap and this race underway. Stack on the move, trying to capture now this time Lorenzo Castillo. He's wheel to wheel with the yellow wing-tipped Motorpark car as well. They're going to go side by side on the run down through towards Caro Corner. Full commitment here from Stack, who's going to look to upend his own teammate as they come through the 3rd sector. Divi Nandan, as you can see, in the familiar traditional-looking BVM machine in the luminous yellow with the white as well. The yellow trim on show for the sister BVM as well, as they now pivot through. There is the 50 of Jan Koller, the Czechia driver, now making his way through the final bend. And now they'll now undertake the 2nd lap of this race. Dobransky, Carrasquillo, Rui Hengier in 3rd place, has managed to gain 2 places. Obviously, remember, started 5th place. Incidentally, though, Herrera knocking on his door, only 7/10 away from this race just getting underway.
But it's not be-all and end-all for Everett Stack, because he's still at least in the train, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's
You'll have slipstream.
He's just coming up from the back of the grid, effectively. And already going to work. Up to 9th position is Stack, but a critical mistake there. Dobransky leading by 1.2 seconds over Jesse Carrasquillo, and then the championship leader, Rui Hengier, up to 3rd position, ahead of Javier Herrera. Divi Nandan, Diego Della Torre up at 4 or 5 places, actually, from his grid position. In 6th position, Caddy Baptista, Jan Koller, Stack Castillo, and then Ferrazzano did get going from the end of pit lane, and Famolaro down at the rear of the field. 24 seconds off the race lead. It looks like Everett Stack is lining up another maneuver now, this time on Jan Koller. Koller moves to the inside, the young Czech driver coming into turns 11 and 12, Stack to the outside. Eventually, when they get into a braking zone, it won't be in Stack's favour. He tucks back in behind his teammate and then dives to the inside of Curva del Carro. Lovely slice up the inside there from Everett Stack to take 8th position away from his teammate. This runs slightly wide and allows Koller to get a small run on him towards the penultimate corner, but nothing that he could do with that. So Stack now up into 8th position. The recovery is very much on.
Yeah, regardless of Koller going back side by side with Stack, Stack had the line going through the final 2 corners, so that allowed him to maintain the move and hold on to that 8th place. He now needs to try and catch up with Miranda Baptista over that 7th spot. At the moment, Dobransky still with the lead in front. Has actually managed to break Carrasquedo now by 1.1 seconds. So not only does the driver also representing in the rookie class now have a solid advantage in terms of the overall proceeding. As we now take a look, and don't worry folks, that's not debris, that's a drone flying mid-air as you're seeing on screen.
It did look really like it was on the track, didn't it?
Well, it looked like it was someone's front wing on the track for a brief minute, but it's the drone, don't you worry folks, as now we watch them come through. 17 laps to go. Dobransky, as I said, 1.1 to 1.2. Rui Hengye, 0.8 of a second behind Carrasquedo, with Javier Herrera is now once again Stack on the move and manages to get past Miranda Baptista. The BVM driver now sunk into P8 with Stack now stacking these overtakes one after another. And next on his list, stable companion Diego Della Torre.
Baptista trying to come back at Everett Stack there with a bit of toe down the back straight and into those flat-out right-handers, but Stack eventually consolidates the move into 14. So yeah, that's now 7th position ahead of Caddy Baptista. Got a little bit of a gap to the car in front now, about a second to Diego Della Torre, as that looked like Della Torre, who was just picking up a little bit of grass out of the final corner in his pursuit of Divi Nandan. Through the first couple of corners we go to start of lap number 4, monstering the curbs as they come through. It is the red and white curbing that is considered the track limits this weekend, not the white lines. As long as you've got 2 of your Pirellis on that curbing, you are okay. Jan Koller following Caddy Baptista now out of turn 6 and down the back straight towards the braking zone at turn 8. Turn 7 is technically that little kink on the back straight, but I don't think anyone's even come close to considering that a corner in reality. Dobransky holding his own at the head of the field, the gap stabilizing at around 1 second. Yes, Carrasquedo did do the fastest lap of the race last time around, a 1:28.033, but only about a 1/10 of a second quicker than what Dobransky was able to do.
And if anything, Dobransky responding, obviously with that purple first sector, but now it's Javier Herrera actually turning the screw, because he's got purple inside the middle sector along with a personal best inside sector 1, and now on the tail of Rui Hengye. Obviously Rui Hengye masterminding 5 first-place finishes so far this campaign, and now Javier Herrera, having only just taken his first, looking to take the fights here to the Chinese Type A driver as they come through the final bend. Looked like a slightly wide moment for Carrasquedo. They're obviously using all of the track to try and close up to the back of Dobransky, but here comes now Javier Herrera, just showing in the mirrors here, giving Rui Hengye something to think about as they come through turns 1, turns 2, and later turns 3, making the most of the curbs now as they quickly, swiftly switch the cars through the first sector. Very soon they'll have the back straight to deal with, but first and foremost, the run down through towards Quercia corner. It is the fastest lap of the race so far for Javier Herrera with that 1:28.003. Really promising lap on show, as I said. Really strong 1-lap pace around Misano does Javier Herrera, hence the pole position that he managed to scoop up for the very first time this season in yesterday's top of the shot, at the start of the day, really leading to his pole start and eventual victory in race 1. Dobransky, that 1.1 second lead has gone, it's diminished. Carrasquedo, the Mexican, now just 7 1/4 tenths behind Dobransky right now. So the win is still very much up for question, and it's the championship leader who's also part of this, but he's now 1.2 behind Carrasquedo, who's turning the screw at the moment on our race leader. Herrera getting closer as well, still with that fastest lap. And it looks like he's going to continue that trend because he's purple again in the middle sector. Herrera with another look up the inside, looks to sell it. Here this time to Rui Hengye. May have actually sent the Chinese Type A driver astray coming through the final corners, which will only help Javier Herrera's run. And I can imagine, I can fathom an opportunity coming out of the final bend on the run down through towards turn 1 that Herrera could actually he can actually open him up here like a tin of beans.
Did you not expect Rui Hengye to just kind of carve his way through the field, kind of pick up where he left off at Spa when he won all 3 races?
Things don't seem so simple, Chris.
Just like, sorry, you know, Javier, you may have had your little moment in the sun yesterday, but I'm in charge of this championship here, and it's just not working out that way at all, is it?
No.
Herrera's all over him, and Carrasquillo's closed right up to Dobransky as well. Yes, the gap was about half a second when they went over the timing line, but coming through the final sector, Carrasquillo's got some real pace out there.
But it was 1.1 seconds laps ago, so
yes, it was.
If anything, Carrasquillo has been the muscle inside this top end. So
a couple of tenths quicker last time around.
Yeah, he has been certainly showing that he's got the pace, and we're not surprised because Carrasquillo over one solid lap has proven time and time again that pace is not the problem. Really, it has been misfortune.
Oh, that was a big lock up there for Caddy Baptista coming into turn 10. That won't do his front right Pirelli any favours. But yeah, Carrasquillo all season long has shown the ability to win races. He's shown the pace to win races. He just hasn't actually been able to convert that into the results. Yeah, he's actually only had a couple of podium finishes, such has been his run of luck actually throughout this season. But this is a real racy-looking Carrasquillo we're seeing here.
And on this lap, this is the closest he has been to the rear of Victor Dobransky as well. 4 tenths away, within 4 tenths, and literally just swarming all over the back of Dobransky's rear wing, who is currently not just leading the overall, but also the rookie contingent in this race. But Javier Herrera, I'm sure, will have something to say about that before the end of the day, as we now see them make their way through towards turn 1. Everett Stack putting in the work after the stall at the start, which saw him linger on the grid just a little bit too long when the green flags, or should I say the green lights went out, or the red lights went out anyway, and the green flags went up. We now watch them come through the first sector and now through towards the back straight. Quercia corner soon to come. There is the 55 of Divi Nandan, who has got Diego de la Torre and Stack for company. These three have now trailed clear of Miranda Baptista by a second, as you just see Herrera still glued to the back of Rui Hengye. There's battle spread across this grid right now. Contingents of 4 at the front, and then a contingent of 3 in the midfield, and then you've got Baptista trying to keep Jan Koller at bay, with a gap there to Castillo Parrizano, who's 12.6 back from Castillo.
1.5 seconds covers the top 4 at the moment. It's the 3 motorpark cars leading the way, closely followed by the BVM racing driver, and then Divi Nandan leading that second train of cars with Diego de la Torre, who was second in the championship coming into this weekend and now looking to make a move. Oh, lock up, was that from the race leader? I wonder, was that Dobransky crumbling under the pressure a little bit coming into the Curva del Caro?
Oh,
speaking of crumbling under pressure, that is Divi Nandan going very wide out of 14 and swooping around the outside goes Diego de la Torre, opening up the door for Everett Stack to try and follow him through, but he can't do anything with that into the final corner. So that's de la Torre up to 5th position now, and Stack trying to make the move now as well.
Yeah, of course he'll try and strike while the iron's hot here. Everett Stack now knows that there's a little sense of vulnerability around Divi Nandan, and it looks like he might get the better run out of turn 3 as well. Remember, of course, the hairpin will come at the end of the next straight they'll have on the run down through towards Quercia. Again, a slightly better run here from Stack, but also he's got to be wary of Miranda Baptista in behind, because he's returned after being a second behind these runners earlier on. With Nandan's mistake, it has closed the group of cars back together, so therefore we are going to see more cars entering the fray over this P6 position.
That Koller went very, very wide in 9th position coming through turn 4. Really missed the corner and all over the runoff area out there. De la Torre starting to pull away, and Stack diving to the inside at turn 10. Runs wide though, and that allows Divi Nandan to try and get the run out of the corner, and will have the advantage when they get there. This is nose to tail now between 2 championship protagonists, the top 2 from yesterday. Rui Hengye only just in front of Javier Herrera, who was practically in the gearbox of that Team Motorpark car coming through turns 11 and 12. Nothing doing though when they get to Curva del Caro in the end.
Yeah, Rui Hengye, of course, very well versed to F3 standard racing, of course, for Javier Herrera. This is his first campaign in doing so. Of course, we look back to last year, racing a lot in Italian F4, but mainly that F4 Central European Zone Championship, and now moving into F3 machinery, is now finally finding his footing. Giuseppe Mazzotti feeling that this young man has got a lot of potential. Of course, had to correct his mental state after a difficult Portimao weekend. The pressure simply got to him at that point, but Spa finding his feet, gaining those 2 podiums. Now a winner as of yesterday, and starting to swarm all over the back of our current championship leader and 5-time race winner this season, Rui Hengye, whose best finish last year was 4th place himself as well. BVM with a new shining light behind the wheel of their race cars.
I've been enjoying this battle about as much as I've been enjoying your battle with the fly in this commentary box,
I know,
George.
it's getting serious.
It's beating you at the moment as well, which is the hilarious thing. Just see it out of the corner of my eye every now and again. Out of turn 10 towards the series of flat-out right-handers. Dobransky doing very nice job out here. Remember, his first year in this championship as well, coming out of Spanish F4 after the last couple of seasons there, and has been running very strongly in the rookie classification, but has yet to pick up an overall podium finish. Such has been the strength of the field this year, I'd say. But now on reverse grid pole position from this race, and really holding his own out there is Carrasquillo bearing down on him, who has quite a bit more experience at this level of competition, having raced in Euro Cup for a year or so, and even dipped his toe into FIA Formula 3 as well. So Carrasquillo with a lot more experience, a similar age though actually, they're both 19 years old, but Carrasquillo getting a little bit higher up on the ladder in those early stages of his career.
Also spent some time in the Formula Regional European Championships, so F3 Standard Machinery is not a stranger for SA Carrasquillo. One of actually the most experienced drivers on the grid in terms of this particular level, but if you want to look at drivers who have spent a larger amount of time behind the wheel of a car like this, it's obviously look no further than Everett Stack for something like that, who's currently sat P6 at the moment, trying to chase down after Diego de la Torre. That gap is now 1.2 as it stands, and incidentally over the last lap it was Diego de la Torre quicker than Everett Stack by nigh on 1/10.5, as now we take a look back at Famularo, who has the fastest lap of the race at the moment, but 12.7 seconds behind Castillo, and has still got Ferrazzano keeping him honest at the moment.
He's actually gone past Ferrazzano, I think, there, because Famularo was at the back of the grid, wasn't he? So he's finally caught up to one car. The only bad news is it's 12 seconds to the next one, which is Lorenzo Castillo.
A little bit of work, too much work to do probably at this point.
Last points paying position there in 10th place. Famularo does have the fastest lap of the race. Oh, Famularo's actually just dropped back behind Ferrazzano, according to the timing screen. Dramas at the front and the rear of the field. Dobransky over the line to start lap number 11. Still half a second clear of SA Carrasquillo, whose earlier charge seems to have come to a brief halt. Oh! Famularo into the gravel. That'd be why he's no longer in front of Ferrazzano. Now that looked like damage to the front right corner of the car.
Suspension damage by the looks of it, I think.
But he didn't have contact with the barrier, so maybe that's just gone of its own accord.
I think it has.
How bizarre.
Almost as if it was, I mean, whether it happened before the corner.
This will give us a better view of it.
I mean, that really broke when it made its way through the gravel.
Yeah.
So there's the tyre there. Got onto the curb.
It just stops turning.
Just stops turning, yeah.
Wow.
Weird. Whether he had no rotation, it could be the case. Well, obviously, well, one thing is for sure, Famularo is out of this race.
Will we need a safety car to clear that stricken BVM car? That's up at turn 10. That's a primo overtaking opportunity.
Here comes Herrera, speaking of the devil.
Oh, big dive on the inside going into Curva del Carro. And Rui Hengye makes a little mistake and makes it easy for Herrera in the end. The young Mexican up into third position now, and Rui Hengye, that's the first blip we've seen from him all season long.
Nothing wrong with that move from Herrera, in my opinion. That was absolutely calculated by the young BVM talent, and now third place in the palm of his hand. And of course, chasing down SA Carrasquillo. I would argue the paces with this young man right now. It wasn't long ago he lodged in yet another purple third sector. So Herrera starting to marshal his charge. 1:28.497 was his last lap. He was 4/10 quicker of the round than Carrasquillo. And Dobransky, of course, he was quicker than him too. 3/10 quicker than our race leader. Let's take a look at this again. What a move coming down into the final sector, reaching Carro corner. He gambled, he risked it for a biscuit, and he savoured it. Third place for Javier Herrera. P2 as well in the rookies contingent. Of course, Dobransky still leading that as he takes the overall race lead. But a rare mistake from Rui Hengye and a very happy but pensive, I'm sure, Giuseppe Mazzotti.
Potential dramas, though, for Herrera. Team manager Car 3 has been asked to report to race control. Now, I imagine that's probably got something to do with the formation lap when he didn't get off the line and retook his positions, which we just sort of nodded along with.
Yeah.
Maybe there has been some sort of rule breach there. And we'll have to dig through the sporting regs before race 3 later on today.
Could you imagine if he was to turn around, overtake Carrasquillo, Dobransky, take the eventual victory, and then all of a sudden it gets ripped away due to a procedural error? I mean,
potentially. He's already on the back of Carrasquillo and Dobransky here. It's 7 to go, and there's less than a second covering the top 3.
Very, very tight. Another lap again, 7 to go. Dobransky holding his own, has done brilliantly. I've got to say, performance of the season so far for Victor Dobransky, and now still marshalling a 3/10 deficit to Carrasquillo at the moment, but Herrera now a new thorn in the side. And bear in mind, these are 2 motor park cars now against a BVM. It's no longer a trio of motor park cars. So BVM obviously have their own interests here. So therefore, I would imagine Herrera is going to give them no time to rest. Certainly not one bit of it as they come down through towards Quetcher Corner. The number 7 of Dobransky. So a little peek in the mirrors there, obviously just making sure that he's aware of what Carrasquillo is doing. Herrera 0.8 of a second back away from Carrasquillo. Last laps, it was a 1:28.3 again. Still Herrera pumping in the faster deltas against the top 2 in our classification. I get the feeling that the young Mexican is not finished yet.
Who's kept some life in that Pirelli rubber, I wonder. It's a hot day, and they've been running in dirty air for pretty much the entire race. So Dobransky's definitely had the advantage in that sense. Down into Curva del Caro. Looks like we're going to leave the Alessandro Familaro car in the gravel. No need for a safety car there. Slightly further back, Everett Stack continuing his recovery. He's got Diego Della Torre just in front of him in a battle for 5th position. These guys are now 4.5 seconds behind that leading quartet. Just behind them, Divi Nandan ahead of Cadi Baptista, Jan Koller, Lorenzo Castillo in close proximity as well. We've got a few different distinct groups of squabbling cars. Cadi Baptista doing a fine job in his wildcard appearance here for BVM in that number 4 machine. We think it's more of their rotational car. Carrasquillo much closer to Dobransky. Now less than 0.4 of a second when they went through the first timing split. Dobransky soaking up the pressure at the moment, but 5.5 laps to go, and Carrasquillo is looking racy once again.
And for the first time in a while, Carrasquillo faster than Herrera over the last lap, so he's starting to move now on Dobransky. He knows that Herrera obviously isn't going to let him go. So therefore needs to try and focus on getting the move done as they race through towards the Caro corner. This is the long straight and one of the pivotal overtaking zones out on the racetrack, and indeed having a little look on Dobransky once again. Dobransky may have just closed off the avenue, or has he? Carrasquillo with a little look at the inside, and now looking to, I suppose, spook Dobransky here in this moment, and now whether that's capitalised for Carrasquillo here and maybe hindered Dobransky's run. Looks like he's just managed to hold on for now, but all of a sudden, Herrera thrusted back into this 3-car affair at the very front. And Rui Hengye not going away either. No,
he's not. Don't count him out for a podium finish as well if these guys start squabbling or maybe even start banging wheels. It's 5 laps to go and less than 3/4 of a second that separates the top 3. Dobransky, who has led this race from the off, from reverse grid pole, has soaked up the pressure from Jesse Carrasquillo since lights out, going for not only his first victory, but his first podium finish in this Euroformula Open Championship in what is his rookie campaign. Jesse Carrasquillo, who has shown the pace all throughout the season, but has yet to turn that into a win for Team Motorpark. And then Javier Herrera, who's come up from 6th on the grid. Yesterday's race winner from pole position, the youngest driver in the field, who is showing experience beyond his years in chasing down these much more experienced drivers. A fascinating complexion throughout this race, and Carrasquillo not looking quite as close as he was to Dobransky last time around, so I don't think there'll be the big lunge into the Curva del Caro. If anything, Javier Herrera's looking slightly closer, side by side further back for 5th position, with Everett Stack making the move on Diego de la Torre. Stack coming up from the rear of the field after stalling off the line, and he does manage to consolidate that place. Stack now up to 5th position, very nearly up to where he started this race initially. It's 4 to go. Dobransky leads over the line by less than 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, the lap counter continues to tick downwards. Got 4 to go. If anything now, Dobransky trying to feather his nest. Carrasquillo, though, not leaving him lie. Herrera now half a second back, and in fact, I don't think had the run necessarily. 2 BBMs now go wheel to wheel, this time with Miranda Baptista getting past Divi Nandan over 7th place. So that's a nice gain. And actually, Baptista right now, as far as the rookies podium's concerned, he will feature 3rd place in that as well, behind Herrera. As they now creep through the first sector and into the middle. BVM with a switcheroo. You can just see further back Jan Koller, the Czechia, just watching all this unfold. Still very tight up at the front. Stack consolidating that 5th place, but I get the feeling that Stack's run is going to end at 5th here. He's 5.5 seconds back from Rui Hengye.
Leaders will be coming into the fast part of the racetrack now, I imagine. Carrasquillo closing down as we see Jan Koller going for the move round the outside at turn 10. We haven't seen that so far this weekend, and that's possibly why. Divi Nandan being able to repel the advances of the young Czech driver for now. They make their way down this back straight. And Carrasquillo going for the lead on the inside, down into Curva del Carro. Victor Dobransky finally yields, and Carrasquillo, for the first time, looks like he might be able to take a win. Dobransky defends to the inside. 3 to go when they come across the stripe, because Javier Herrera is now on the tail of Victor Dobransky and fighting for 2nd place.
He certainly is, and now he might smell blood as well, because now the window of opportunity has opened up with Carrasquillo walking straight through it. Dobransky now needs to have his wits about him. This is not just about the rookie lead. This is about P2 overall. Yet another step on the podium. Dobransky obviously looking to taste that here this time in the Euroformula Open Championship. Rui Hengye also waiting. Let's take a look at the moment. This time, the favoured corner where you can make these kinds of moves. And that's exactly what Jesse Carrasquillo did, the Mexican, planting himself into the lead of the race.
That was from a long way back. That was a good car length at least, wasn't it? So
masterclass.
Good job on left foot training there from Jesse Carrasquillo. Potentially on course now for his first victory in the Euroformula Open Championship. Can Dobransky hang on to 2nd place? Of course, they're fighting for the top honours in the rookie classification as well. That's a separate championship that they have to think about as well, and fighting for 2nd position overall. And Rui Hengye, who doesn't look like he's been able to really show his nose in this fight yet, the championship leader for probably only the 2nd time this season, is going to finish off the podium. Let's see what happens. 2 laps and a bit to go.
Yeah, well, if Herrera does make the move past Dobransky, that might yet offer Rui Hengye an opportunity, but I do wonder whether perhaps Rui Hengye has been conserving those tyres, in which case perhaps choosing not to necessarily make the moves and perhaps leave it till the very last minute.
Potentially.
We could yet see him now with 2 laps to go, maybe start to show his full prowess in this race, because he is glued to the back of Herrera now, and dare I say, Herrera was the fastest out of the 4 drivers for the majority of the race earlier on. I do wonder whether the pace is now starting to swing elsewhere here at this stage, because Rui Hengye now on the tail of the BVM car that's currently sat in 3rd place. Dobransky now 4.5 tenths back from Carrasquillo as they weave their way through the first sector. Very soon they'll take the run out of Quecha Corner, then later Tramonto at turn 10. Here comes Quecha Corner now. Carrasquillo growing the gap to Dobransky to nearly 0.8 tenths of a second. Just look at this from Rui Hengye, and I reckon surely there may yet be a run heading down the back straight in towards the Cavone corner, in towards 11th. Turn 11, and indeed as they sweep around, Herrera distinctly more defensive in that approach. Now, will that hamper his exit and give Rui Hengye an opportunity to jump onto the podium? 3rd place could yet be at stake. If he gets the drag in the slipstream, get the feeling that Herrera is slightly defenceless here with no toe in front, certainly not in comparison to the toe that Rui Hengye is getting, and he's swapping all over the back of the BVM car. Full defensive shields up here for Javier Herrera, defensive-minded again. This might again hamper his exit, but I think the final corners will save his bacon, and indeed they do. But yet further concerns now for Javier Herrera as Rui Hengye arrives on the scene.
S.A. Carrasquillo leads him out of the final corner. Rui Hengye going to go all out of shape and bouncing over the curbs on the final corner there. That's cost him a bit of a run down the start and finish straight. And George, the starting procedure is under investigation now officially, so we'll keep an eye on the stewards steward's board between now and race 3, but there could be potential dramas for yesterday's race winner, Javier Herrera. The big drama for him at the moment is trying to keep Rui Hengye at bay. Carrasquillo leads the way. Dobransky on course for his first podium finish in the Euroformula Open Championship. And who will be joining him on the roster? Will it be Javier Herrera, or can Rui Hengye show his nose in the closing stages of this race?
Well, we'll soon find out. They're coming through towards Quetcha now this time. It looks like Herrera's managed to marshal his charge, but there's still that back straight. Oh, well, I consider that to perhaps be the nail in the coffin for Rui Hengye and his prospects of a P3 now. Herrera can just focus on what's in front of him, and that's Dobransky. Let's take a look at this little bit of airtime that Rui Hengye managed to adopt. Only the smallest little bit of airtime, but it's airtime nonetheless.
I think that little moment out of turn 8 there is the Pac-Man death noise for Rui Hengye's chances at podium finish here. And suddenly Herrera is much closer to Dobransky. He goes for the dive on the inside. Oh, unbelievable. Is he going to push Dobransky out wide? Can the Polish driver hang on? They're going to go side by side through the final couple of corners. He holds the inside, does Dobransky. Should just be able to hang on to second place. Meanwhile, Jose Carrasquillo from Guanajuato, Mexico, takes his first victory in the Euroformula Open Championship, and Victor Dobransky takes his first podium finish. He does beat Javier Herrera to the line by 0.3 of a second. Great stuff in the closing stages of race 2 here in Misano. Rui Hengye in 4th, Everett Stack 5th, and then across the line here, Cali Baptista in 7th with Jan Koller and Lorenzo Castillo following Divi Nandan to the line in 10th position. Cracking stuff to kick off the day here in the Euroformula Open Championship.
Well, it took a little longer, but it has to be said, Carrasquillo will be delighted with this first win of the season. It's been long awaited, I am sure. Obviously, he was on the podium back at Spa in race 2. Was knocking on the door of a podium as well in race 1 at Portimao. And he has proven that he can rise. He's a bit of a phoenix, is Jose Carrasquillo, in terms of his pace. Take us through the results, Chris.
Jose Carrasquillo takes his first Euroformula Open victory for Team Motorpark. 1.2 seconds clear in the end of Victor Dobransky, who takes his first podium overall in the championship and the top rookie in this race as well. Javier Herrera, yesterday's race winner, from 6th to 3rd, tried to take the place in the end but couldn't quite do it. Rui Hengye 4th, and a rare visit off the podium. Everett Stack recovering to 5th after stalling off the line ahead of Diego Della Torre. Cali Baptista on the rookie podium as well ahead of Jan Koller, Divi Nandan and Lorenzo Castillo completing the points-paying positions. Aaron Ferrazzano, after starting from the pit lane with early issues for that Neri Autosport car, it did get out, but just a consolation run in the end. We lost Alessandro Famolaro at turn 10. This is what it's done to the championship standings. It will still be Rui Hengye who leads, but the gap now 71 points as Diego Della Torre retakes second place in the championship. Rui Hengye ends up extending his championship lead, but Javier Herrera now 79 points back and up to 4th position in the standings as Jesse Carrasquillo vacates the number 27 from Team Motorpark. And this has been quite a long time coming, and a cool as you like celebration from the 19-year-old Mexican driver, a race winner in Eurocup and in Danish F4, previously coached by Sergio Perez and Antonio Perez, Sergio's older brother, but now a race winner in the Euroformula Open Championship. We saw a celebration with Borja Alonso, his race engineer, and Victor Dobransky also celebrating in Parc Ferme with Matteo Siliga. Fantastic effort from young Dobransky and from young Herrera there as well. But we do need to keep an eye on the stewards board because the starting procedure is under investigation now.
In which case, I mean, if there was anything to fall foul for Javier Herrera, that does mean that Rui Hengye will appear on the podium, quite essentially.
Yes, it does.
But it may not appear on the podium now on the broadcast if it was decided after the podium procedure, but indeed, as far as race results are concerned, he will effectively inherit that P3 if there are any penalties dished out.
Well, the conversations at Parc Ferme with the family. It's Javier Herrera, yesterday's race winner, who makes it 2 podiums in 2 races. here in Misano. Third position for the Mexican. Victor Dobransky takes his first ever podium finish in the Euroformula Open Championship. The 19-year-old from Krakow, second. But the winner for the first time in the Euroformula Open Championship is Jesse Carrasquillo.
So we have another Mexican winner in the Euroformula, Jesse Carrasquillo, and beautiful race. And it really looked like a very strategic race, and you waited for the moment to attack.
Yes, this track is certainly not the easiest to pass compared to the others. So, yeah, I had more pace than him, so I just couldn't pass him I couldn't pass him. And I saw a bit of a gap, and I had to send it. It was my only chance to pass, so it turned out good, but yeah, very risky. This track is, you have to risk it all or you don't pass, basically.
But it worked, and it launches your season.
Yes, pretty good. I hope finally a win after all that happened in Portimao and Spa. Yeah, good.
Unas palabras en español para tu gente en México.
Pues viva México, viva Oaxaca y viva León.
Al grito de guerra. Podium.
Let's take a look at race 2 of the Euroformula Open Championship. Stalls from Everett Stack and Alessandro Famolaro. Thankfully, as they did in race 1, nobody was collected, but it was Victor Dobransky who got the whole shot into the first corner from reverse grip pole, leading Jesse Carrasquillo through the first few corners. The young Polish driver hanging on to the lead of the race for the majority of the 19 laps. It was Javier Herrera who made good forward progress, coming up from 6th to 4th, making that move down into turn 4, who's just behind Rui Hengye. Everett Stack began his recovery after stalling on the grid. First of all, making passes on Jan Koller, his teammate, down into Curva del Carro, getting himself back up into the point-paying positions. Bizarre moment for Alessandro Famolaro, broken suspension, taking him out of the race. The BVM racing driver that finished 3rd yesterday, not able to finish. Big moment here from Javier Herrera, lunging on the inside of Rui Hengye, who got sideways into turn 14 and allowing the Mexican to take 3rd position. Battles between the BVM teammates into turn 1 with the wildcard Cani Baptista passing Dibi Nandan. The change for the lead came at turn 14. Jesse Carrasquillo with a big lunge on the inside. Great work under braking and usurping Dobransky, who then had to repel Javier Herrera on the final lap. It came right down to the wire. Carrasquillo took his first victory in the championship. Dobransky his first podium. And Javier Herrera completed the top 3. And now to the podium then, as Javier Herrera takes the 3rd place spot. Maybe feels that a little bit more was on offer there, but great job from Dobransky. We're going to have 2 very happy drivers next to him. Dobransky on the rostrum for the first time.
Yeah, great effort for Dobransky, and we'll give him a lot of confidence for the rest of the season. Mexican represented on 2 steps of the podium with another winner in Jesse Carrasquillo. Mexico had a win yesterday. They've got another one today. And, of course, a first for Carrasquillo. Seems hard to fathom that very fact, given his potential and prowess, his outright pace that we have seen in Portimao. Just misfortune has trod on him, unfortunately. Here's the Mexican national anthem.
Hugely emotional for the Carrasquillo family down in pit lane, capturing the moment. And what a moment it is for young Jesse, the Pirelli representative, handing the 3rd place trophy to Javier Herrera. Herrera now his 4th appearance on the podium, adding on to the 2 that he scored in Portimao. And a first non-rookie win trophy for Victor Dobransky there. Very happy with the efforts of that race. Carrasquillo, the winner of race 2 in Misano, his first win in the championship. And will be starting on pole position for race 3. this afternoon, of course. It's the top 6 from qualifying that is reversed, and Carrasquillo qualified 6th, so something tells me it could well be a Mexican wave across the results here in Misano.
Yeah, I think if he can carry through the same level of pace, he definitely has a great chance of going back-to-back. But rookie trophy going to Victor Dobransky for the first time this season.
Well, the drivers will pose for the photographs with the motorpark representative and the 2 trophies for Victor Dobransky there. But that's race 2 run and done. Still one more race to come here in Misano, closing out our first ever visit to Misano. And at 3:45 local time, we'll be live with the 3rd and final race of the weekend.